The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I am the face that runs the place.
You need Roman to be out of the main title picture for a little while. Like, just, you give him a break. This is the only way you're possibly going to get the crowd to do anything but boo him, is give him a break.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
It was exciting to see because it kind of reminded me of Reading Rainbow a little bit.
All he needed was LeVar Burton to come in there.
Well, this would have definitely got a 5-star pay-per-view for me.
Show of the year.
Yeah, show of the year.
How you doing? I came, I fought, and I conquered the beast. Brock Lesnar. But then a funny thing happened to me as I was walking to the back after the match. I run into none other than Stephanie McMahon. And she said, "But do you have one more title run left in you?" So you bet your ass I got one more title run left in me.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 222, part 1, and we've got a great show in store for you guys. We are going to be talking a lot about some big quick hits when it comes to the world of wrestling, as well as we're getting into Ring of Honor TV. That's right, we've got an episode this week that you'll be very intrigued about. And we're also getting into New Japan's Tag League. That's right. We haven't had a chance to get into the new shows that happened over the weekend. So we'll be talking about that as well. We've got lots of great content coming your way. Just to give you a quick heads up, if you want to go check out some great written content in the world of wrestling, go to W2Mnet.com. That's where you will find lots of great articles when it comes to wrestling reviews. And, of course, if you like football, we have a big football section there to give you some power rankings for your fantasy team. And, of course, the college ranks as well, so go check that out. Plus, video games are a big deal on this website as well. You want to go read a lot of great columns when it comes to video games. Lots of great reviews there as well. Also, hey, if you're listening to us for the first time, or maybe you're a long-time listener, but you keep typing in the name to go find our podcast, well, guess what? Don't worry about doing that. Just go subscribe to the W2M Network. That way, one click gets you all our great shows in one place, and you'll get a chance to get every single show that we do. And, of course, some other great podcasts that we have on this network that you're not going to want to miss out on. Trust me, it's some great content. Besides that, guys, I just want to let you know I'm your host, Gary Vaughn. Along with me is Mr. Paul Leeser.
Heyo.
And Mr. Sean Garmer.
Hey. People.
And boy, it's nice to have us all back together. I know part 2 of episode 221 last week, Sean needed a breather, and that's fine and dandy. And, we all need them sometimes. And so I'm glad, Sean, you're back with us tonight. It's really cool to get us.
I mean, it's, it sucks just because it, like, one of those personal things sometimes happen. And it happened like that day, and I was just, trying to have a long distance marriage with somebody is really hard. And, like, when you have a value for social media that the other person doesn't, and they come from a different world than you do, doesn't matter how long you've been with the person, it's really hard to, like, just you have to trust somebody a lot. So when stuff happens, and yeah, it's something happened that was really dumb, and it really like put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I just don't know what's gonna happen from here. But it wasn't great, and so at that point, I didn't feel it was one of those things like, oh, the one thing that really could have made it to where I didn't do what I needed to do that day was that. And it was like, oh, we, as, Gary can tell you, you love your wives, but they also have this thing where they can, if something happens, good or bad or whatever, they can, it can stop you in your tracks. Something happens, and so that's what happened to me. I felt like that was one of those things. Like I was just shocked, and I couldn't do anything, and it sucked because these guys, we have a nice contingent of people that like all love New Japan, including Paul and I and Tom, who's been on the show. We have other people that are also part of our website, and they had all given me stuff to do a big World Tag League preview, and we had to have it that day because the Tag League, I for some reason I thought the Tag League started on Saturday morning and actually started Friday morning. And so I was like, oh crap, we got to have it in. And so like I was starting to get ready to do it, and then a great post just happens on Facebook that just totally derailed everything that I was, gonna start to be doing, and I hate it because it like totally wasted their guys' time. And so like it didn't go into just affecting me, it affected these guys wasting their time writing stuff that didn't get to be posted because my whole day basically shut down after that, and it also led to these guys having to do the show, which I mean they did great as they always do when I'm not there or when one of us isn't there. But just, I wanted to apologize to everybody for not being there, and to apologize to, all the guys that did work that doesn't get to be recognized. But, yeah, just, don't know if it's going to be good or bad from here. But the good thing about things being where this person isn't around all the time is it doesn't really change my day-to-day. So... Mm-hmm. The next day, I was kind of over it, and I got out the NXT and Survivor Series preview that everybody had worked hard on as well. So I know Survivor Series already happened, and NXT, and you possibly already heard us talk about it as well. So that I apologize for that. I fell asleep. So that's why we didn't do Survivor Series. I think NXT, that was just one of those, like, we really shouldn't even have tried to do that on Saturday. That was just us being kind of silly to try to do that when both Paul and I had worked like late into the night and everything. But Sunday, that was on me, and I apologize for that we had to do it a day later. But hey, we still got out, I think, what we all wanted to say. And so this is kind of the last show that we've done all in a marathon here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we are going to talk about the Tag League, but Paul, I think, has watched night one. I haven't been able to watch anything because of all the stuff we've been doing, but we are going to talk about results and everything. Just, again, wanted to just clear up everything and all that.
Yeah, so. Definitely. And no, never need to worry. And definitely glad that you're getting things worked out. And we've got a lot of good things coming your guys' way. Wanted to let you guys know that we've got a great week coming ahead of great content. Like Sean just mentioned, Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver Toronto was on a show, so go check that out if you haven't heard it yet. And of course, we did our Raw review. And depending on when you actually listen to this show, there will also be a SmackDown Live review as well. So you don't want to miss any of that. Like Sean said, there's lots of great content, and W2Mnet.com is also going to have all that written content as well. But, want to let everybody know we are also going to delay Thursday's live show, which usually, is on download for you guys on Friday morning. It will not be available on Friday morning. It's going to be available Saturday morning on the download because we're actually going to record the show that Friday night. That's right. Black Friday will be the time when we actually do part 2. That way everybody can kind of have family time on Thanksgiving and everything and enjoy themselves. And boy, Paul, I am looking forward to Thanksgiving. It's going to be a lot of fun, lots of football, lots of good food. I don't know about you. What do you love about Thanksgiving?
Mostly getting the chance to be a fatty and have nobody judge you. Which I live to every day to the fullest. But on this day, it's universally acceptable, and that's what's great. But, awesome. Football and hanging out with the folks and everything's always good, too. And just getting a day to relax with everybody that you care to spend it with. That's always what's great about Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and Sean, I know you're doing family stuff as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I love being more in Texas for the Thanksgiving because my dad is very traditional with that stuff and everybody gathers. And obviously it's going to be weird not having either one of my grandparents and not getting to be there, but it would have been weird to just look over and you're missing 2 people that have been integral to that Thanksgiving for years. I mean, for me, when I was there, obviously getting to go to the Cowboy game on Thanksgiving was always cool too. But now hopefully I'll get to watch it on TV. But my Latino side of the family over here are not, the biggest football fans, nor at least they do try to sort of eat the traditional things. Sometimes they'll go like totally Latin on me. I'm just like, okay, I'm not for this. Where's the nearest I need like a Grandy's or something like right now. Like where's like the nearest, I'll go to Golden Corral, right? This like just something.
Boston Market.
Yeah, just. But it should still be fun. I don't even know what I'm gonna be like. I may have to work overnight on Wednesday and then sleep for a while on Thanksgiving and then whatever. But I might have to actually go in Thursday night and work overnight. I don't know. Because
Friday.
Because for working retail, and Paul knows this too. Like, even Walmart now is getting into the act of, we're starting this on Thanksgiving night. By the way, like it's no longer just Black Friday; it's Thanksgiving night. Kmart for the longest time has done this thing where they're open until Black Friday night. They're 24 hours until Black Friday night at midnight. So usually we get to deal with a bunch of you don't know when you're going to work and you can't leave until they tell you to, even though we're still open, and hopefully I don't have to deal with that much. And also Black Friday's my birthday, so
yeah, exactly. And so we'll actually be recording on your birthday. If everything works out the correct way.
Yeah, I got to turn 30 and watch that happen.
Oh boy, yay! Happy for you. I'm already there and it's sad. But anyway, I'll be doing Thanksgiving actually for a change, and not that I'm not trying to be a Thanksgiving Grinch. I love spending time with family, but me and my wife rotate between families. We'll be doing Christmas with her family, and I do Thanksgiving this year with my family. Well, my folks will be taking their own excursion to see my grandmother, and they'll be working on some stuff with her, and so they're not really doing anything big. So I think me and my wife and my daughter are going to kind of take this opportunity to have our own special little feast. My wife will be working hard in the kitchen while I watch, because if I cooked, it'd be death for everyone. But I will probably purchase some of the other things like pecan pies and things like that, so she's not having to do everything. But I'm excited because she's an awesome cook. And then, of course, we'll be doing some of the Christmas stuff, going ahead and pulling out Christmas decorations. As long as I get a chance to watch almost all 3 of these football games, Christmas decorations, I'll be a happy camper Thanksgiving, I'm telling you. So really looking forward to it. I hope everybody else out there is looking forward to your Thanksgiving. And we hope that, you get a chance to just do whatever you like to do. If it's not football, if you just like to sit and eat all day, or maybe you just like to maybe watch old wrestling while you have your feast, whatever it is that you like to do on Thanksgiving.
Or if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I think the next day is usually is it Saturday? Maybe I'm thinking the wrong month. Never mind. Whenever Boxing Day is.
Oh, you're saying Christmas.
Yeah, that's Christmas.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
Yeah.
No,
it's okay.
Sorry if UK listeners just said you're an idiot, Sean. They're good.
Nah.
See, that happens when it's been a while since you've actually sat there and watched. I used to be really into English soccer, so I used to be all up on when they had holidays and everything, because they'd always have some English soccer usually on that day or something.
Exactly. So you're right. But no, the Black Friday, everybody is going to have a lot of fun. This is going to be a fun holiday. I hope everyone enjoys it. But now let's enjoy something else. Let's talk wrestling, guys. We have some big quick hits to talk about today. So we'll jump into those pretty soon here. And don't forget, we're also talking Ring of Honor. But now let's talk wrestling news.
Let's do that. Hold on. Oof. Hey.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
I realized I had to scroll down a bunch to find the quick hits thing. It's like, oh damn, okay. Wow.
Yeah. It can be a task sometimes on our little thing here. But anyway, let's go ahead and start by talking about something that's really happy, and I'm glad to hear this because this is a guy that almost lost his life. Jamie Noble has returned back to work at WWE. We heard about him getting stabbed, and he was in pretty bad shape. But it's just nice to hear that this guy has made a triumphant return back to work, and I'm sure he's just happy to be alive overall. So that is really cool news. I am super happy about that, and I know everyone here is too. Let's talk about, though, something that's kind of cool when it comes to streaming wrestling. Let's talk about the House of Hardcore has now been added to Flow Sports. And I love hearing this because, House of Hardcore always has some of these big special shows, and they're ones I have never actually really got to see. So, Paul, is this really a good deal? Are you excited about this?
I haven't watched a lot of House of Hardcore. I think I've seen one or two shows from them. This, of course, is Tommy Dreamer's promotion that has a lot of TNA talent on there sometimes, and a lot of the bigger indie names, as well as some locals from around the Northeast area, which is where he typically likes to run. And it's sort of grown pretty quickly. He's got to deal with, he's on the same Fight Network that TNA's on and all this other stuff. So getting on FloSlam for everything, I think, is a really cool deal for him. I wouldn't say it's another major indie like Sean keeps talking about, but it is somebody with a name, and it is somebody with a history of putting on some great shows. So certainly I think it's a good get for Flow Sports.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not a major name, but it's a name that we know. It's a name that if you're into this FloSlam thing, if you know about FloSlam, you probably know about House of Hardcore. It's a nice little thing that doesn't happen all the time, but it's another one of those things that's there if you want to watch it. So it's turning into a cool thing, but I still feel like you're missing something for me to plop down $20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we all have agreed on that. And, this is something that's getting me closer. I can't lie. Yeah. I'm really curious. I, have never really found, some of those, I don't want to say illegal, but other ways to find some of these shows like House of Hardcore. I've actually not really searched for them, but I would like to see them. So this is getting closer to me wanting to spend that kind of money. Gabe Sapolsky has now got a new position. He is now booking for Full Impact Pro.
Yeah, Full Impact Pro, of course, runs out of Florida. They've been under the WWN banner for a couple of years now. And this move, Gabe had talked earlier on Twitter, I think, about wanting to book more. And, of course, we talked about him opening that one promotion, Style. So it was Style Clash or whatever it was. And now he's got this deal going for him. So more stuff coming up for him. And he seems very definite as far as the press release went as trying to make Full Impact Pro feel as different as possible from what he's got going on in Evolve, which I can certainly appreciate. You want to scratch a different sort of itch with another promotion.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading up on something here. We are talking about.
Gabe Sapolsky taking over the booking.
I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't watched a ton of Full Impact Pro over the years, so I really wouldn't know much about it. But I mean, Gabe kind of already doing the booking for Evolve, and then kind of all being in the same company. It's interesting. See if that leads to any kind of cross promotion or anything. But yeah.
Well, Sean, something that you do pay a little bit closer attention to, and that's Ring of Honor. And at their next big show, they're going to have Cody Rhodes facing off against Jay Lethal. That has been confirmed. We also have for the Ring of Honor TV title, there's going to be a big match with Bobby Fish taking on Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, and Dragon Lee. So, what do you think about these?
Well, technically, I think it would be Marty Scurll taking on those guys, because Marty Scurll is, unless he's the TV champion right now, right? He didn't give it back to somebody. Okay, so you had Ospreay and Scurll, who had this feud, it seems like forever, trade the TV title between each other on that Reach to the Sky tour that happened over the weekend. And then now you're going to have this terrific match. That's going to be one hell of a four-corner survival. I'm interested in that, certainly. And could we be seeing two guys that won't be doing much with the promotion afterwards when it comes to ROH? Because, Jay Lethal's contract is up at the end of December. And I don't know, that's interesting. Could that be Jay Lethal's last major pay-per-view for ROH, where he's wrestling a guy that's not an ROH guy either?
Yeah, I'm very interested, first of all, in getting my hands on all of those Reach for the Sky tour shows that they did over in England. They all sounded like really good shows, and so Ospreay beats Bobby Fish the first night, and then on the last night out in London in York Hall, which is where Rev Pro runs out of, he drops the belt to Marty Scurll, which, as Sean mentioned, continues that endless feud that continues to perpetuate. And great on Scurll and great on Ospreay, first of all. At first, whenever Ospreay won, I was thinking, man, we could get Ospreay and Dragon Lee at Final Battle, and my God, my head would explode. So we get a version of that still. I'm looking forward to that four-way. I don't think I'm looking forward to it as much as Cody Rhodes and Jay Lethal. That should be incredible. I really, if Shibata obviously was on Cody Rhodes' list, I think that's really the last one left on his checklist besides wrestling in Ring of Honor. And Shibata's working World Tag League that day. He's got the block. His block is up that day, and which kind of sucks. But I mean, Jay Lethal is no small chickens here. He's no small dealings. He's no small anything. He's above everything. And I really think, as far as a super match goes for this show, they couldn't have done any better in picking Lethal for Cody Rhodes. So I hope it gets a lot of time. I hope it does well. And as Sean said, it could be Lethal's last match in ROH for all we know.
Yeah, you just don't know. Very interesting stuff. And, I'm really kind of curious how that will work out. Something else I just want to kind of touch on briefly, because we're not really talking a lot about anything else when it comes to WWE on this exact show. But following Survivor Series, we saw in that Survivor Series men event, they actually had Shane McMahon get pretty beat up, and we talked about this on the Survivor Series show. No really need to jump into everything we talked about already. I just got to ask this question. With all the damage this guy got done to him, with the fact that Randy Orton even kind of broke character to kind of console his family, do you think Shane McMahon's going to reconsider doing this whole getting in the ring thing? I mean, he's older now. Do you think that can happen?
I mean, I don't want to say it wouldn't happen, because it certainly could, and obviously concussions are a very serious matter. That being, I don't know, like that was a risk, just as big a risk even as, I would say, jumping off the top of the cell, and unfortunately it went pear-shaped on both Roman and Shane, where it just looked like everybody sort of mistimed it, and people ended up in a not good way, where you get to see Shane's head bounce off the mat, and Roman Reigns almost sends himself head first through the ring with how he landed too, and he might have had a concussion too. So I mean, good on Randy, at least for trying to calm the kids down and everything at ringside, who are obviously very worried about their dad. And yeah, I mean, certainly hats off to being a good guy, which is something you don't always get to hear Randy being. So
Yeah, and I think he's like really close, or has had his new daughter now too. So that's pretty cool for him.
Yeah, definitely. And one last thing before we run over and talk some Ring of Honor TV, I want to throw this out there too. We actually had Dolph Ziggler going out and saying that Cesaro is the best wrestler hands down. What do you think about that?
I mean, can you really disagree with the man? I think very highly of Cesaro. I don't know, maybe about best in the world or best right now. Certainly top 10 though. The dude is a beast. There's not a style of match I don't think he can't work to at least a 4-star ability whenever he's given the chance.
Totally agree. Cesaro is amazing. He keeps doing it every single night, every time. He gives it his all, and yeah, definitely has to be in that top 10 category for sure. I don't know, man. Maybe best in WWE certainly would give him a run for his money in that.
Yeah, AJ, Seth, Kevin Owens. There's a lot of talent in WWE.
Yeah, there really is, and because there are so many talented guys. I mean, I just think that you got to find even other ways to kind of figure out who's better than who. I mean, we already seen Enzo Amore show us where we want to start. So maybe Cesaro starts off Raw next week, nude, and we'll decide who is the better man. Maybe we'll stay away from Cesaro. Maybe we'll just let that be a James Ellsworth thing. So,
oh God, could you imagine?
Hey, where he lacks in chin, he gains in. Well, let's move on. And,
okay.
Talk Ring of Honor TV. We've got some interesting stuff coming your way when it comes to Ring of Honor TV, and don't forget, we're talking Tag League tonight too. Great stuff. So let's go ahead and do it though. Let's talk Ring of Honor.
All right, guys.
All right, so Ring of Honor wastes a little time. After the opening credits, they jump right into their first match, was Silas Young taking on Kyle O'Reilly. This is pretty much there just to make Kyle O'Reilly look good, as he's continued to look incredible throughout any time he's on a Ring of Honor television or in a Ring of Honor ring, even if they're not on TV. He's winning. He's winning a lot, and he's got that big match with Adam Cole, of course, for the world title at Final Battle. But they didn't sell Silas. They didn't sell Silas short here. Wow. Say that 3 times fast. Every time Kyle O'Reilly seems to lock into submission, Silas continues to battle his way out, and Kyle has to put him away with the Brain Buster. But I think they told a really good story with all that. You have Adam Cole come out and do commentary, who is his usual wonderful self. And I don't know, guys. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall that Kyle's beating Adam at Final Battle. But this match certainly was something worthwhile.
Yeah, it was. It was a interesting match, and I really, thought it was fun, even though I kind of, knew what was going to happen here. Kyle O'Reilly just looking good. I think that Silas Young did his part. I think that, he's a very talented guy that doesn't really, I think sometimes get credit for all the great things that he can do. I did enjoy, his little promo following this match, though. I mean, it was fun. He's the man's man, and that's what I love about this guy. He's just so fun to see him talk bad about everybody else. And, of course, he makes fun of a fan. I'm sure it was a plant, but still a fan dressed as Jushin Thunder Liger. And basically him saying that, Jushin Thunder Liger is just a guy playing dress up. So that was kind of funny, So it makes all those cosplay people out there kind of feel bad about themselves. At least that's what he was trying to do.
So that the fan in question that Gary's talking about during this promo is Ultra Liger, who is a regular fan at Baltimore shows, as far as I'm aware. I don't think he's a plant. But if they do pay him, good on him. But as far as I'm aware, you can follow Ultra Liger on Twitter. He's actually pretty funny from time to time too. So, but the promo, of course, Silas Young, he has Jushin Thunder Liger at Final Battle, which is going to be another great match, and somebody who I think Elgin said it best. Silas is working on a top tier level right now, and unfortunately just isn't getting enough credit that he actually deserves. I think very highly of him. He's one of my favorites in Ring of Honor right now, and I thought this promo was super good.
On a side note, Gary would be happy to know that Ultra Liger is a Cowboys fan.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
See, and I didn't know much about him, and that's why I thought he was a play, and I had no idea about Ultra Liger. This is kind of cool. I'll have to follow him on Twitter, and I'll also have to follow the guy that plays Commissioner Gordon on Gotham, also a Cowboys fan, I found out. So, cool stuff.
So, I mean, we get into a string of promos here. Lethal officially announces on Ring of Honor television that Cody Rhodes is his opponent, and sort of says that, Cody had all this on his list, and he's been waiting for this moment forever. And Lethal's like, I've already done everything in Ring of Honor. I'm the man around here, and I'm looking forward to see what you can do, because obviously this is going to be your one chance, and you're not going to beat me. Which it was actually pretty solid for this short little minute that it was. And then we get a little bit of a longer form promo here from the Motor City Machine Guns, in fact, as they talk about how Ladder Wars changed them. And they sort of segue that into talking about the Bullet Club and how they're not really a fan of how they're going about doing their business in Ring of Honor. They bring up how Hangman Page was turned on them by hanging Sabin, of course. And they talk about trying to find a group of guys that they're willing to team up with that will help them take on the Bullet Club head on. And they bring up Leo Rush and Jay White as guys they'd like to bring under their sort of little umbrella of guys fighting for Ring of Honor. They've also approached Donovan Dijak, of course, during the San Antonio show during Survival of the Fittest. So there's an interesting thing brewing here with the Motor City Machine Guns outside of what else you got going on in the tag team division.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of cool that they are trying to gather their own version of the Justice League, or Avengers, or whatever they want to call themselves. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Mm-hmm. But I think they're picking some great names already. Youth, speed, and guys with maybe limited experience, but guys that have a lot of heart. And so I kind of enjoy that. I think that's going to be really cool to see how this all does shake down at the end of the day, and as they do go against the Bullet Club. And there's a couple of things out of this. I really didn't think that, even though it was a lengthy package that they had going here for these two guys, Motor Machine Guns, I found it kind of interesting that they did say that scholars will be looking back and seeing these guys as being integral parts, or how, I don't know, I can't say the exact wording, but basically saying the Motor Machine Guns were going to be probably the best tag team in the world. And all that. I thought that was kind of hilarious, but still I guess they're important. Besides that, I do want to make a note. Jay Lethal talking about Cody Rhodes. It's just Jay Lethal. He did a good job. The only thing is why can he say Cody Rhodes and TNA can't use that name? That was my big question.
ROH actually has the money to pay for it, probably.
Okay, that's fair enough. I was kind of just wondering about that. So
yeah, I don't know why they can get away with it and TNA can't, to be honest with you. I mean, unless it has something to do with them not being on national television or what have you. The Motor City Machine Guns thing they're bringing up, they're kind of credited with bringing junior heavyweight style tag team wrestling to America and sort of popularizing it. But even though the Young Bucks were sort of doing it at the same time, or even before that over in PWG, the Guns just had a bigger platform because obviously they were in TNA at the time, and I think they're part of the reason why the Young Bucks got brought in for the cup of coffee that they did have in TNA. As a little footnote there. We get two more promos here. The Addiction talk about Ladder War and bring up Legacy again, and they want to talk about building theirs over one they're going to destroy, and that's the Briscoes, who they're going to face off in tag team action next week to prove that they're the best team of Ring of Honor history and to get back in the tag title hunt. And then we go backstage with Colt Cabana, who's talking about how his last outing with Dalton Castle didn't really go the way he wanted to. Dalton walks in and says, "Hey, man, it's because I didn't have the boys with me. I was uncomfortable. It was weird." And Colt says, "Oh, you didn't have the boys? Well, pick 2 of these yahoos." And he's got like a row of 6 guys dressed up like the boys, and Dalton picks 2, and out they go. And they have a total squash match that lasts maybe 30 seconds as Dalton sends Ken Dixon into the ropes, and hits the bangerang, and that's all she wrote. And then after that, Dalton grabs the mic, says that everybody loves them, and Colt should really cheer up because he's looking all sort of sad in the ring. Colt says he doesn't want to be a team anymore. He wants to, sort of part ways, as peacefully as they can, because they have to start all the way back at the bottom, and he wants to be a champion now. Dalton kind of tries to talk him out of it a little bit, and eventually, whenever it figures to not go that way, he wants to hug it out. So Colt moves in and knees him right in the ding-ding, as Steve Corino would say, and then sort of makes him choke on one of the fans that the boys have, and then stabs him in the eye with it, which I thought was particularly brutal. But what are your thoughts on all this, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of something you kind of saw coming. Of course, if you read spoilers, you know all about it. I personally don't read spoilers. But I kind of knew about it, not only because of the show, but also because you could kind of see it as Ring of Honor TV was going. This is the direction that was probably going to go. I think it's kind of brutal. I do think it's kind of one of those heel turns that it could be kind of memorable because, Colt Cabana is a fan favorite. People love this guy. And for him to do that to another fan favorite in Dalton Castle, I think it's a big deal. And I'm going to really be curious how this feud goes. I just thought, man, just the way that Colt Cabana went about, poking the eye with a fan and just being the jerk he was to Dalton Castle, it actually meant something. It wasn't something stupid like he slapped him in the face and walked off. No, I mean, he was actually intending to hurt Dalton Castle. So it's something I appreciate, and now I'm really kind of curious where this feud is going to go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm sure these two are going to have some sort of match at Final Battle, and I'm really looking forward to see what those guys can do there as that card just continues to get stacked. And speaking of matches being added to Final Battle, we have the last semifinal and the 6-man tag team tournament match as the Kingdom go 3-on-3 with Team CMLL. And it's not a great match. I think you get sort of condensed version of what CMLL did last week before the Kingdom sort of beat him up and take it home. I really like the finish, though. Matt Taven with like an incredible tope suicida over the top rope where he easily clears the top rope. It's scary how well this guy can jump. And then we get a triple team power bomb on Hechicero to give the Kingdom the win. I kind of like how well they work together. I mean, granted, this is only their second match out together, but I think they're a great 6-man unit, and I mean, obviously there's room to grow and sort of heel mannerisms and stuff, especially from TK and Vinny, who are still seem fairly green as far as that side of the coin goes, and I think their wrestling seems pretty polished for where they are. I know TK Orion's only been wrestling for 2 years. I like Ultimo Guerrero a lot. The other Okamura, you get a better snapshot of in this, who's pretty good in his own right, and Hechicero's, I think he may not just be in my taste, but this is still a fine match overall as I continue to blither on.
No, it was, and it was a pretty decent match for what it was worth, and I appreciated some of these spots. And I think Team CMLL is actually a worthy opponent for a lot of these tag teams, and I appreciate it. And when it comes to the Kingdom, you kind of wondered if they were going to put them over. Because, Team CMLL going over last week made me start to kind of question, hey, where do they want these guys? They want these guys in a final. How do they feel about them? But, it's obvious that at the end of the day, the Kingdom was the real team that needs more storyline. They need more heat. They need more of everything. Because, kind of reinventing themselves in a way, but still the same. So I appreciate that, and them winning is the right decision. It really is, and you kind of question where they're going to go from here. But I think it's they made some good decisions here.
Yeah, I mean they'll meet ACH, Jay White, and Kushida in the finals for the championships at Final Battle, which is sure to be a great match. Although with ACH's contract and maybe looking at the other two guys on that side of the ring too, it's probably pretty obvious where those belts are going. But nonetheless, it should still be a good match. The Briscoes send us home with one final promo talking about how the Addiction are thinking a little too far forward and thinking past them, and they're going to beat them up real bad. And they even go so far as to call the Addiction a tune-up match for their tag team title match with the Young Bucks at Final Battle as well.
Wow. Yep, that was a pretty intense promo there. Of course, that's just the way they do things, though. It's kind of fun to watch the way that Mark Briscoe and Jay Briscoe both kind of commingle in those promos, and they do such a good job of it. They do, and so it was enjoyable. It really was, and it makes you get ready for that big match when they do eventually have it. So, yeah.
That's Ring of Honor for the week.
That is right. It's Ring of Honor, and of course, we're about to talk some Tag League, and wanted to let everybody know once again that we are going to be, getting into some other great stuff this next week. But let's go ahead and talk Tag League now.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
All right, New Japan World Tag League. Well, let's be honest, we only have the results for night 3 because that also happened on the same day as Survivor Series, and you can only watch 6 hours of wrestling and then try to watch 3 hours of more. It wasn't happening, people. So you've watched night 1, so you got to watch we're just gonna talk tag matches here. The other stuff is sort of irrelevant to what is happening. But we did get to find out that, yes, Tetsuya Naito's partner is indeed Rush for this tournament. I think they have probably had the best match of the entire 3 nights, it looks like. But you also got to see, War Machine be here, and also the new Brian Breaker and Leland Race from the Harley Race's promotion there. What did you think of that night 1 that you saw?
I thought it was a solid show. The middle of it, as far as the tag matches go, were fairly unspectacular. War Machine I thought looked great. They ran right over Hanare, which was awesome to see. But they have that sort of same fire and passion behind them that they've had recently in their matches on Ring of Honor, and they look like they're really out to prove that they belong. And I think certainly by the end of that match, they're not leaving any questions that they do. And then you have Brian Breaker and Leland Race. Granted, they're only facing Yujiro and Hangman Page, but they didn't show me anything that makes me think, man, I should really keep staying interested in their matches. It's sort of felt like they were going through the motions right along with Yujiro and Page there, but the tournament's long, so they have a lot of time to impress. And then, Kojima and Tenzin sort of get the upset of the night on night 1 as they beat the Guerrillas of Destiny. And I either figured the Guerrillas of Destiny were going to do really, really well or really, really bad, and so far it doesn't look like they're going to do very well. And that's not to say that the match is bad. It's fine for what it is, but I was thinking they would at least make the champs look a little bit better, and I think they bounced back on that second night too, getting a win for themselves, but not off to a great start here for them. And then the main event I thought was great. Rush is incredible. I'm a big fan of his work. He's one of the reasons why I still watch CMLL when I do. So I think he's a perfect choice for Naito. I think they're very compatible as far as in-ring styles go. Juice just continues to knock it out of the ballpark for me. I continue to keep thinking the same as I did of him in NXT, and he keeps telling me that that's just a foolish decision at this point because he's gotten so much better. And pairing up with Tanahashi, obviously you can't ask for a better partner. And I think they work really, really well together, and they've had practice on all the 6-mans that they do. But Naito and Rush, just too much for him on that first night.
Yeah, so fast forwarding over to that night 3 that we have results for, it looks like Kojima and or Tenkozy, they defeated Naito and Rush here, in what looks like a good match here. It's a main event night 3, so Tenkozy has 4 points. Naito and Rush have 2. Juice and Tanahashi have 0 right now as they lose to War Machine, who also has 4 points. This looks like another really good match here. Guerrillas of Destiny against Brian Breaker and Leland Race. You knew the champions weren't going to lose to these guys, so they do have 2 points. As Breaker and Race, I think they have 2 or 0. Or
They got 2.
They got 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Yujiro and Page beating Nakanishi and Hanare. So Page and Yujiro also have 2.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, right now for Block A, you've got Tenkozy and War Machine out to that early lead. I think no doubt, the veterans are going to get points. I think that's not surprising. That's sort of how, Geto does the booking of these things. But interesting to see War Machine already out there looking good, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think Block A is interesting for more than a couple of reasons. One, going into this, especially whenever we were writing up the preview for all of this, I was really on the fence about how well War Machine was going to do in this, because sometimes you get a little bit of 50-50 sometimes with the outsider teams, but so far it really looks like they're all in on War Machine, and they look to be the early favorite to win the block, even though I think it's still going to end up being Rush and Naito getting into that final. The Guerrillas of Destiny took that interesting first loss, as I mentioned, and then sort of bounced back. They're another interesting story to watch here, too, as well as Tanahashi and Juice. Tanahashi not tagging up with Captain New Japan for once is great, because now he can finally at least look decent in this. So I'm waiting to see maybe Juice gets to break out some more, and they end up as where I thought they would in the middle of the block with maybe 6 to 8 points.
Yeah, I think they're having him lose early just to... And not to mention, this is kind of where Tanahashi takes his break, and him, and similar to like what we're gonna see in the Block B. I don't know that we should expect like the Omega Chase Owens team, the Okada Yoshihashi team, probably not gonna do a whole lot, because it's obviously more on. We know what they're gonna be doing at Wrestle Kingdom, so whatever they do in this tag league doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to be able to have 2 matches in one night and go for the tag titles. So, speaking of night 2, you do get right out of the gate Kenny Omega and Chase Owens against Yoshitatsu and Billy Gunn. I actually need to go back and see this. Apparently Yoshitatsu is very bad, but actually Billy Gunn looked good doing the hot tag. That's cool. We get to that. Good that the crowd enjoys Billy Gunn and knows who he is and is popping for him. So that's interesting to look at, as they're actually doing night 4, the second night of the B block right now, as we're recording this, and they're going to do another block of night or block A. Night 5 the next day on the 23rd, and they'll take a break for Thanksgiving, even though Japan doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. They're still taking a break on the 24th. So you get Goto and Ishii having their first match had to be with Bad Luck Fale and Bone Soldier, for God's sakes. I don't envy them at all. Bone Soldier's involved. You should just know.
Shortest match on that card. He probably died anyway in there with Ishii and Goto.
Yeah. Sonata and Evil and Shibata and Nagata had a match. It was actually looks like it was actually good. Sonata and Evil won, so they have 2 points. Goto and Ishii, who are the favorites for this tournament, have 2 points. Billy Gunn and Yoshitatsu actually got 2 points on Omega and Chase Owens, so they have 2 points. And the last year's winners, Great Basho, Togi Makabe, and Tomoaki Honma, beat Okada and Yoshihashi, so they have 2 points. In what was a good match as well to main event that show.
The thing I really think is interesting about Block B is the match pairings that you're going to have. Obviously, there's a lot of Wrestle Kingdom build-up in here with Okada and Kenny Omega being the same block. But even going along the lines of, Chase Owens and Kenny Omega going up against another Bullet Club team in Bad Luck Fale and Bone Soldier, even though it's Bone Soldier, I think that's still an interesting pair. I always like seeing what they do with inter-stable conflicts. And it's the same with Goto and Ishii taking on Okada and Yoshihashi, that's sure to be a barn burner of a match anyways. But they're Evil and Sonata, I think, are going to do very well in this too. I had them, I think, near the top. I think Goto and Ishii take the block for sure, but there's a lot of interesting pairs, not to mention Shibata and Nagata. That's a dynamite tag team if I've ever seen one. I
agree, yeah. Certainly the teams you want to watch are in this block, other than Bad Luck Fale and Bone Soldier. But, you're going to get some good matches here probably. Again, if you're watching this daily, I would temper expectations. Don't expect that you're going to get... that one match you got on the first night, that's probably one of the better ones you're going to get this whole tournament. These are tag matches. It's a tag league. They are kind of sort of resting for knowing that you got the big show coming up when this is over. I think by the time this is over, they've got like the rest of that month, like half the month to go. And then, Wrestle Kingdom's right around the corner. The New Year's around the corner. So, just temper expectations a bit and know that you're sort of watching shows to watch shows. If you're watching this, but you get interesting things like you get to see Juice Robinson be good. You get to see how Billy Gunn does in Japan. You get to see Goto and Ishii be awesome, and Sonata and Evil for that matter. So you get to see things, but don't expect awesome just dropping jaw stuff like you get G1 or some of the Best of Super Juniors stuff sometimes.
Right.
So we'll continue to, on the Friday show, there'll have been 3 more shows for us to talk about. So on the Friday show, we'll continue on with nights 4, 5, and 6. And, we'll kind of just keep you updated on what's going on the group, on the who's winning the blocks and all that until it ends.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. More Tag League talk will be coming your way this next Friday. But until then, we are going to be closing out this show because we are done. We have, had a lot of fun. We've had a blast. We've actually been doing a marathon personally. You guys may be listening to this separately, but we just did 3 straight shows in a row. So we are pretty tired. But we've had a lot of fun and a lot of great conversation. I'm glad we had it. Also, don't forget, once again, make sure that you go check out those other shows I just mentioned, Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver Toronto, all in one show. Go check it out. Plus, of course, the Raw review. And if you're listening to this later in the week, the SmackDown Live review, which will be really cool because it'll be all the fallout following Survivor Series. Don't forget also W2Mnet.com. Go check it out. Also, W2M Network. It's the place you want to go subscribe so you get all our great content coming your way. Sean, anything else you want to mention to the people for this week?
And if you're on Facebook, we got a Wrestling to the Max Facebook group. Don't forget that as well. Certainly you want to go in there and chat with our fellow listeners and just people that enjoy wrestling. Many of the people that are in that group don't even listen to the podcast, but they just enjoy interacting with each other and everything, and that's always good to have more people to interact and talk wrestling with as well. We should have be able to sort of preview this entire week that's coming up with the Thanksgiving games as well for the football shows. They'll be back after missing so many of these shows as well. Apologize for that, but there is fantasy football to the max out there for you guys that are into the fantasy football. And then, we should, before Thanksgiving, have a video games to the max. Sorry that we've been kind of helter-skelter on that. It's just, that's kind of one of those, we do it when it fits into my schedule. And sometimes there's weeks where I plan on doing it and things happen and it just doesn't work out. I think they're doing a Football 5 and Foxy and Squid and all that on Tuesday night as well, but I'm not sure. And so, and there's a lot of running. I had forgotten to upload a bunch of the Running Wild podcast. There's quite a few interviews. One with Cole Cabana, one with Stokely Hathaway, one with Donovan Dijak is their most recent one, where they also review the latest Evolve shows too. Rich and Runs over there. So definitely, if you want to hear from some guys involved in Ring of Honor or formerly in Ring of Honor or in Evolve and everything else, you definitely want to check out those podcasts, because those interviews are really interesting. So, and you, of course, if you subscribe to the WTM Network, you can get all that stuff. So,
Well,
yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
yes, please do, and eat all that you can eat. Enjoy it, relax. If you're going to stay up and do the Black Friday thing, man, be safe. Try not to trample anyone else, and don't let them trample you. I've been in those situations, and it is crazy. So, hey, once again, if you know that you're going to be out there late and it's cold, or maybe it's 3 a.m. and you're wanting something to do, make sure that you do have the W2M network, because there's plenty of content, guys, and share it with the people next to you.
Yeah, you can put us in the headphones while you're out there shopping.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they're not doing it, but it would be an honor if you did.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, guys. Well, we are out of here. Happy Thanksgiving. And until next time, turkeys, I will see you down the road. And, of course, if you're not living life to the max.
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.